Hello and welcome to the Gaelic River. This is Dresden's Tale, episode 39, chapter 37 of volume 2. This is the very first chapter of part 2 of that volume. This is the show where we follow Dresden Fane, adventurer, traveler, seeker of strange new worlds. Our story exists in the violence of the Celd culture, where war is eternal and death a certainty. I'm your guide, Lewis Nichols. The Gaelic River is the major mode of transportation through the region of Turricia, and Turricia is a place of shadow, jungle, and rough terrain. 90% of the population lives along the rivers. Travel into the wilderness is to chance encounters with unspeakable evil. For a Celd, that often means the in-laws, but there are a few monsters out there as well. The sun is never truly overhead, but this is still a place of heat and humidity. The very ground exudes warmth, and eastern winds bring the moisture. Turricia is the home of volcanoes and thunderstorms, gargantuan reptiles, insects of unusual size, and a healthy smattering of unique and painful diseases. But we're not here to get bogged down in endless details. Dresden's on deck, and I say we join him. It's the 10th day of Ebba, 2,052 years after the fall. So, who was Ebba? Deathbeard's ship was already 2 days up from the wide mouth of the Gaelic River. It was a fact that put Dresden in a good mood, comparatively, like a candle brightens up a cave. It was strangely warm, muggy, and dim. Despite sailing farther and farther north, an eastern breeze had the effect of heating things up. Another fact that Dresden wasn't particularly opposed to. Overflowing with sarcastic complacency, Dresden decided to engage the crewman. He put his book down, the title, Who Was Ebba, scrawled across the front. Ebba was the third pope, hence the third month of the year being named after him. Not much is known about the details of his life. A sense of revenge settled over him as he realized the man's flippant comment was in no way meant to get an answer. It was just a random thought from some fool who had to make noise or suffer his own thoughts. Spiteful, Dresden rose to continue the lecture in a more formal fashion. Somewhere around 960 years after the fall, Cardinal Decros Ebba ascended to the Holy Seat. Pope Vera, do you know who that is? Our second month is named after him. Vera barely survived a decade and was sick most of that time. I think it's strange that afterwards they allowed a monkey to step up, as Ebba was. You know, as they are prone to disease. However, he was also an accomplished warrior. He may not have given them a chance to object. Ebba fought battles across Arista and the Foot before he ascended. Afterwards, he oversaw campaigns around Canal City. These seem largely to do with putting down minor powers who refused to accept the authority of the papacy. Personally, if I was around back then, I'd oppose the shit out of them. Nonetheless, Ebba seemed to be a competent leader. The number of stones in possession of Patronsburg and mankind in general increased from about 30 to nearly 50. If old Oot wouldn't have totally fucked things up, they might have completed the quest centuries ago. Wouldn't things be different if that would have happened? The man just sort of grunted. Ebba's the one who brought various literary works together to publish Winter's Call, essentially codifying the holy doctrine of establishing winter as a time of rest, celebration, and building. A time to look inward, to contemplate, and all that stuff. It's thought his successes in gathering so many stones left him empowered by Cloyce, helping him maintain one of the longest reigns of any pope. There's more here. Do you have any questions before I continue? No, but I have to hurry back. Deathbeard's calling. Ah, sure he is. Dresden acted like he might chase after the deckhand. You have to admit, it's nice that Pope Ebba's name fell on such a onerous month as spring. If Dresden had been much for laughing, he'd have had a nice belly roll at the sight of his fleeing opponent. Before he had much time to consider it might have actually felt good to talk to somebody, a horn sounded from a nearby ship, and someone screamed. Not a frightful wail, but a measured vocal call, sounding the beginning of a chant. A beat later, drums started, and a voice cried out, "Born to hunger!" Naked, wet, weak, and alone. Returning the call was a reflex. It was the high holy day of Dagonis. Not answering was unthinkable. By the hunt! Hundreds called from surrounding boats. Born to serve, the speaker yelled. And the answer came. Family, pack, clan, faith, followed with, by the hunt! Born to toll! Leather, wood, stone, and metal. A pause. By the hunt! Born to war! Tooth, claw, shield, and spear. By the hunt! The verse went by 7 trails, 7 trials, which was also a book dedicated to the god of the hunt, but not one Dresden had read. In fact, all he knew was the chant. Born to pleasure. Ale, skin, freedom, indulgence. By the hunt. Born to grow. House, community, state, and empire. By the hunt. Born to suffer. Trials, trails, anguish, and pain. By the hunt. By the end of it, Dresden could barely hear the call as the priest floated steadily with the current. Born to suffer. Got that right. The dwarf grumbled, putting away his book and securing his deck-top campsite. Most days, he did his best to keep things tidy. With evening approaching, he was about to start his voluntary watch. The Gaelic was wide, slow, and relatively straight for most of its length. There was a lot to see along the way. On the first day, they passed an island populated with so many monkeys, their hooting drowned out all conversation. Morning took them past the Red Hawk Falls, where 5 distinct rivers came down from high cliffs to add their water to the Gaelic. Anchor down! The order went out. The closer they got to the city of Camberg, the more difficult upstream travel was becoming. The river was easily half a mile across, but only a 50-foot wide channel was deep enough for the brig. 2 warriors stood near him, a man and a woman who'd fallen in love, or at least given in to lust, along the way. They're putting us to shore. They will not, the female scoffed. You say that every single time we stop. Dresden watched a long constrictor snake swim by the boat. It was over 20 feet long, heading for a reed-filled shoreline. He could make out no signs of civilization on either shore. It'll be a big group, but we're at least a week from Camberg. What will we eat? His worried neighbor went on. Again, his companion was the source of reason. We'll face that together, but offhand, I'd say roasted monkey, then grilled monkey, and eventually some monkey on a stick. It could have been him and Leith, Dresden sighed. They would have been a terrible force to reckon with as a fighting team. Not fucking fair. Fuck you, Rib Gnasher. The dwarf felt a darkness sucking at his strength. What? Nothing. Mind your business. Dresden felt short of breath. Memories of Leith's beautiful face plagued him. Her laugh, her touch. They could have grown old together, making legends as they went. Only they wouldn't have. In 40 years, she'd have been aged and wrinkled. Meanwhile, time would have barely touched him. No excuse, he argued with himself. There was magic out there to stop aging. It would have been their first quest together. Instead, slaying the forest demon had been, and they had failed. The terrible killer of hope had ruined him. Maybe it had just saved Master Nanok the trouble. The high priest would have been wary to let Dresden marry. They'd known that, except there had to be a way to convince him. They were really in love. Love always found a way. Are you all right? Fuck off. Dresden realized he'd been pacing feverishly. Fuck you, the deckhand told him. I just came to tell you to get your shit. They're probably offloading you ungrateful fucks and the longboats will be jam-packed. If you're ready to go, you'll get a quick spot. Not that I care, asshole. What the deckhand said barely registered. Love won out, but only in the theater. Nanok spent a fortune on his training. He wouldn't let him go. Dresden started stuffing things into his pack, just leaving what he no longer needed. Food and fresh water was the most important. And the master damn sure cared they wouldn't give him kids for the house, even if Leith would have accepted the need to join up, at least temporarily. And you, such a young love, but perfect. No time to find each other's flaws and shortcomings. She will forever hold a fondness in your memory as a most perfect partner. Dresden remembered the priest's words, the ones that had haunted him from the day of the services. He raged at the world. Fuck you, you don't know shit. He walked to the front of the ship. Even in the low light, he could see the boats anchored ahead, while 3 others made downriver. They were not elegant, but big blocks of wood, a simple design, tough and easy to produce. The captain stood nearby, arguing with a rivermaster from the Campbell clan. We make our own destiny, Dresden grumbled. If it's to walk, then we walk. Faster than putting out the oars, by Orlok. How would he know how fast oars are? Someone asked another. Dresden just glowered. A part of him was aware if he didn't shut up soon, someone would knock him down. He moved towards a longboat, threw his pack over his shoulder, and started a line for the inevitable decision. Roar, Dresden, roar! We have achieved a new level of grumpiness. Good thing he's generally likable, or he might just get himself in trouble. Ha! Can't wait to see what he's going to get into next. Thanks, folks, for dropping by. I'm trying to get that buy me a cup of coffee thing going. I know you're all just dying to support me in the most financial of ways. It's a weird way to make a living, but why not? And this channel can be a great value. Hit me up in the comments. I have the luxury of building a certain degree of content around the hopes and dreams of the viewers. I mean, we are the bad guys, and that won't change. The return of past characters isn't out of the question. Maybe even little side stories or episodes of Nuts and Bolts just to fulfill your needs. Comment, let me know. The most important thing is that you chose to spend a little time with me today. I appreciate that. My name is Lewis Nichols, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day.